Hi everyone out there in the vinyl community, Morten Aastad here with a video. I was watching Brian the Embryonic Roberts video about greatest hits albums this morning, and I thought, yeah, let's do something about that. Now I don't remember who the originator of this was. I think it was Chris, and I've seen a couple of other videos sort of while I've been up at the Helgelandsmoen, which I'm back from for just the weekend. So I'm spending my weekend talking to you guys, picking out records from my record collection. Now, before you leave a comment saying something about this, I know sort of the distinction, I guess, between a greatest hits album and a compilation. So if you consider that some of the records that I'm showing are not actually greatest hits but compilations, well then I'm aware of it, I guess, sort of. Another thing is that I did leave out some records that I feel were definitely not greatest hits in any way or capacity, because they contain so many songs that are not even on singles or B-sides for that matter, the smuts, so I left that behind as well. It was a surprise to do this, because I thought I had some compilations on vinyls, which I did not. And also it turned out that some of the compilations that I was dead cert were over here are probably still in Denmark and the Rolling Stones. So I chose something else to show you in some cases, and maybe I'll make a CD version of this for the hell of it. I don't know. So let's just show you some stuff, shall we? Brian showed some really excellent greatest hits. I think maybe some of mine are, for all intents and purposes, duplicates, but there you are. You know, live and learn or whatever. This is the House Parties. Now that's what I call quite good. This was released when everyone knew that they were saying goodbye and leaving us. And I'm thinking greatest hits, record for a band that only made 2 studio albums. 2 years prior to this, basically. Well, yes, it is kind of okay, I guess, because they released a heck of a lot of singles from their studio albums, and they also released singles that weren't on the albums. I had this, I think originally on, well, I had this on cassette, which I think I only have the cover now. I think I lost the cassettes. There were double cassette, by the way, back when that was the thing. And then I got the CD some years later of this. There's a combo best of, which contains both songs from the House Martins and the subsequent band, The Beautiful South, which contained at least, well, one of them. So yeah, gorgeous compilation, this, and one that I got on a couple of years through Discogs and was very happy to. Next up we have Echo and the Bunnymen. So this came out in 1985, yeah. Prior to their then final album, final album with Ian McCulloch, which was featured in my video where I talked about self-titled albums that were not debut albums. By the way, thank you to everyone who did step up and do a video for that thread of mine. That's been my most successful thread, and that made me very happy, so thank you for that, guys, because it was around the time I was going up to Helgelandsmoen, and I wasn't looking that much forward to it. It was nice to see your videos and also read some nice and hear nice things that you said about me, and I'm very happy about that. This is a great compilation, or greatest hits rather. Sorry if I keep using the wrong words, but there you are. Songs to learn and sing, with great tracks like Rescue and The Puppet, Do It Clean, A Promise, The Back of Love, and the excellent The Cutter, Never Stop, The Killing Moon, of course, Silver, Seven Seas, and Bring on the Dancing Horses. And I was emulating my friend in South Africa there for some reason. And it's got I love this Kurova label they were sporting back in the day. Inner sleeve, original with the lyrics. And this is a record I've had since back in the day. All my Echo and the Bunnymen records up until the Grey album are in fact the ones that I bought when I was a kid and a teenager, basically, because I've been listening to these guys for quite a while now. Next up, another one I've had for many a year since I was in my late teens. I think I bought this in high school. It's more Bob Dylan greatest hits. Now, I have all of Bob Dylan's studio albums here on CD, but I have quite a huge chunk of his studio albums up until sort of the late 80s on vinyl as well, but they're all in Denmark, except for a couple that I finally brought up to Norway. This I do go back to and listen to quite often. Saves me having to listen to, a full album of his when I'm not that invested in listening to Bob Dylan. It's funny, it's an artist that I have a lot by, but I'm not necessarily jumping up and down for joy whenever I get a new album. It's kind of a required presence in a way, but I do of course I do love the guy, but and I finally saw him back in 2022, I think it was. This one's cool. The Damned, odd cover. The Light at the End of the Tunnel. It's not a gatefold double album, and I liked it back when they did this. When they showed various products and where the tracks on the Greatest Hits album came from, so to speak. And it has these, the family tree of the band on continuing here with the various offshoots, Eddie and the Hot Rods, the Missing Men, and so on and so forth. So one that was lying about in Denmark for many, many years while I didn't have a record player, and then one of the first albums I brought back up to Oslo when I got a record player. This is probably, this is very close to being my favorite greatest hits and singles record of all time. The Cure, Standing on a Beach, and it even contains songs that would probably be removed now because of political correctness, and because if you said something in previous days, you're not allowed to say them now, so let's remove them from history. John Lennon. Here we are. I'm not a fan of, glossing over history or omitting things to keep people who have strong opinions about them. I want to shove them down your throat. Happy? Because why should those people be happy? Things happened. You learn about them, and you either keep doing them or you don't, but at least you've been informed. Sorry. That's the mood I am in today, I guess. There's a general election in Norway on Monday, and, watching all that stuff will make anyone lose their mind or lose their good mood, I guess. Here's another one I really, really enjoy and appreciate. This was the first record I ever got by Elvis Costello, and I bought this at the giant HMV on Oxford Street in London, and this is Girls, Girls, Girls. So this is the songs of Elvis Costello, the sounds of Elvis Costello, and the attraction, and great artwork. And oddly enough, I would have thought that maybe this cover art would have been more sort of correct for a Style Council album than an Elvis Costello one. But yeah, that's just the way it is, I guess. What is this? Yeah. I'd completely forgotten that this was in here. Probably because I, at some stage, put it inside one of the inner sleeves. And there's the record. I'm assuming the other one looks exactly the same, but... Yeah. So on and so forth. Another one I'm very happy with. I think I've shown this a couple of times. Sometimes greatest hits, like I think Brian said, and everyone, you know, grab one of those and you get your you grab one of these greatest hits and you get your vitamin of the band you want to listen to for that day. And if I want to listen to The Clash, I often grab this one instead of one of their studio albums. Although I do play Sandinista quite often. It's always been a go-to for me. Shown this several times. Greatest hits, as it were, with the Charlatans that I got a couple of years ago. It was my first Charlatans record on vinyl. So these greatest hits, and I'll probably end up mentioning it again, are great in the way that some bands I have all their stuff on CD and then I have nothing on vinyl and it annoys me. But then I get a greatest hits or compilation on vinyl and I'm kind of satisfied. That didn't work so well with the Charlatans because I really want to collect all their stuff on vinyl, but I'll have a couple of examples later. And here's your vinyl. I like the picture of this one. But there's 3 of them, so I won't go into showing all those. We're already on 13 minutes here, so well, might be less when I edit out all the coughing I've done and all the putting the records back. This one's fine. Tried to find a nice copy of this for a long time. I kept finding I think they split this into 2 because you kept seeing volumes 1 and 2 around, and I wanted the double album. So this is the History of the Birds. Wonderful record in itself. Songs of great stuff. I have all of Bird's studio albums on CD. Like I mentioned, I do that with some of these, and I had like a couple on vinyl, and this is one of them. And here's another Family Tree. That's cool. And I think we have one of these with records of the day that they wanted you to buy. And I love this old orange CBS label. Another band I was content only to get this greatest hits and then not get any vinyl. I have since actually gotten some vinyl. I got their latest album, which I then haven't gotten on CD, which annoys me because now my CD collection isn't complete. And I also got their very first demo or self-produced album or whatever, the one with the Buddha thing on it. So this is Blink 182, and one that actually says greatest hits. And whenever I want to listen to Blink 182, which does happen from time to time, I mean, I listen to this more likely than I go and pick up one of the studio albums on CD, I must admit. One of those where I got some nicer inner sleeves, because it came in the kind of inner sleeve that actually hurts your record. I really like the black and the silver that they've done for this rather excellent greatest hits. By the way, if I should say greatest hits sometime during this video, please don't cancel me. I thought I had this one in Denmark. This is one of my oldest greatest hits that I still own, and it's a... I know one of you guys already showed it. Yeah, I think it... one of you guys already showed it. And it's 10cc. Love the artwork. I always have. It's the back. It's people, you know, it's Hypnosis. This was 1979. So the band was on a bit of a downturn now, because as you can see, I mean, they're presenting, we got pictures of all four of them, but of course by this time they already released either 2 or 3 studio albums, as you know, with only 2 members left. Oh, I still have the inner sleeve as well. That's nice. And yeah, there were Eric Stewart and Graham Goldman were the ones who were left. And I think this record sort of tries to give an impression that the band is intact. Oh, this is the old... I don't think you see that label that often. Mercury. Tends to be the... what is it? The high rises? Anyway. I'm waffling about and around, and now I broke the cover as well. Yeah, I love 10cc. So yeah, it's the greatest hits 1972 to 78. But I'll show another 10cc greatest hits as well, because this one compiled songs from their first 2 albums when they were on the UK Records label, and I found this at Boy Scouts thrift store in Skagen a couple of years ago. You know, when you shifted through all those South Pacific and Roger Whittaker records and German marching band records, and you actually find something you want to bring home. That was kind of special. Probably a couple of years before I became a teenager, we got our first satellite television here in Norway from abroad. And it was called the Satellite Channel, I think it was called. And it's later turned into Sky Channel, and we lost it because, you know, that's the way the world turned. But they showed a lot of 1960s American sitcoms. It's kind of all they did when they weren't showing music programs. Music Box and stuff like that. Pat Sharp. Anyway, and one of them were the Monkees, and I was not aware of the Monkees. This was more than 10 years after the TV program had premiered, I guess, or roughly. When was this? Late 70s, early 80s? I don't remember. But anyway, I like that, and even though I was a Rolling Stones fan at the time and all that stuff, I went out and I found this compilation sometime later. So this was my sort of my physical copy introduction to the Monkees, and I'm very fond of this. I've gotten lots of Monkeys since, both on vinyl and CDs, obviously. No, you know, this was on Arista, so this was, I guess, before the Rhino took over everything that's got to do with the Monkeys these days. So yeah, for a brief moment, a virtual blip on the musical continuum, the Monkeys had the full glare of the pop light shining upon them. So this was made, yeah, this was 1986. So this was 20 years after they arrived on the world, as it were. My dream woman is, of course, blonde and short and beautiful, gorgeous, and an Australian. And although she dumped me, no, but I love Kylie, and this was the first thing I ever got on vinyl. I think with there's a Step Back in Time, Pop Precision since 1987, the definitive collection. I do have a couple more Kylies on vinyl now, but most of my collection is on the old CDs there, and quite a big collection it is. Was this colored? Yes, it was. Very nice. I guess I'll have to show you the other one now. It was the same color. Only disappointing thing I remember when I got this was that there were. That's it. There's no other pictures of her or any artwork, as it were. But if you feel like listening to Kylie, then nice compilation there. I remember I was so happy when I finally got this on vinyl again. I told this story many times. I let the street bully borrow my Kiss collection, and he destroyed all of them, and since then I gotten their records on CD. Slowly been buying their records again. You know, the ones from their heyday, I suppose, on vinyl, and the only one I'm missing is Dynasty. But I did get this compilation as well, or Greatest Hits from 1979, wasn't it, or was it 78? And I'm very fond of this. And one of the reasons it took me a while to get this one, because I was sort of, I don't know, hell-bent on getting old copies that were from the same time that I lost my records. And I regretted it in some instances, because, for example, the Alive 2 one I got doesn't sound very good, and that's why I ended up getting a new copy of a lot of the. I didn't want to repeat the mistakes. I got the first Alive on a new one. But one of the reasons was I kept finding these either with a German SS on them, or these not shiny, sort of grey dull covers. So when I found this, I was very happy. And it also came with this inside, which was nice. So I guess this is Norman Maslow's favorite band, in whatever capacity has a favorite band. This is Jefferson Airplane with 2400 Fulton Street. I got... my dad subscribed to the History of Rock and Roll for me, which was a 20 or 40 double album collection. I still have it, but it's in Denmark. And one of the bands on there, or on two sides, or just one side, I remember, it was Jefferson Airplane, and I was not satisfied. I wanted more, so I got this very soon after, and a great compilation it is. Does this have a family tree? No. There's a lot of writing, though. RCA, later day RCA. When is this from? 1987. This is a great comp, and again, I played this a lot more than my Jefferson Airplane CDs. Brian showed this, but I want to show this as well. This was my introduction to the Jam. This is Snap, also bought at that giant HMV on Oxford Street in London. Whether or not, I think it was at the same time as I got the Elvis Costello one. And I guess this has sort of kept me from not buying their studio albums on vinyl, although I'm very tempted to do so, especially now that I'm done collecting the Style Council. Well, done, I might continue on 12-inch. Next up, Pearl Jam, Rear View Mirror. Did this get a general release here in Europe? I don't remember now, but I do remember asking my friend Sasha if she could buy these for me from because these were exclusive from Walmart, and we can't order from Walmart over here, so she was kind enough to do that for me, and I sent her some money for the shipping and all that, and they arrived in great shape. I love Pearl Jam, as most of you who know me probably know. And I try to grab some Pearl Jam, as you know, quite often, and I will sometimes then go for these. And I'm saying these because, although this is a double album and greatest hits, and was sort of their, this was their, I don't know, goodbye to epic legacy. It has a companion, and there it is. More of a present day picture. Well, present day then, I suppose. And again, love this, very well done. And yeah, you know what it is. So. This one is black. And this one is grey. Well, this one is black. And this one is white. The Rolling Stones. Now, I had wanted to show you a rather odd, I think it's an Italian compilation that I got from the record club I was a member of when I was pre-teen. It's in Denmark, I assume, so I can't show you that. So first compilation I remember I had in my house, I already had some Stones stuff from the 70s that I gotten from my older siblings because they knew I loved Rolling Stones. But I didn't really have any of the the older stuff yet on my own. So I remember I borrowed this from a classmate's mum, and then I think I had it on cassette and still do. And I don't know if this was ever put out on CD because the US version took over. But this is rolled gold. And you can say whatever you want about the US version being the go-to these days, and the following one, but to me this would always be the greatest, Rolling Stones 1960s compilation. And when I got this, I think I got it on one of my very earliest Discogs purchases. I was a happy camper. Look how cool Bill Wyman is. But then I became aware that this one actually did have a follow-up. And this one, you don't see this one very often, and I think I got this through eBay. And this is Roll Gold Volume 2. And while the other one I think got a fairly wide European release, I think this was only released in Germany. I might be wrong. You remember these if you've been buying all those weird Decca trying to make a buck on Rolling Stones in the 70s. And it's got that black Decca. Yeah, so I was very happy to get this at some stage. I remember both the album cover of that Greatest Hits that I started talking about and this one, when I was a kid, confused me. Because this was, there were no internet and I didn't have a Rolling Stones book readily available, or could run into the kitchen where the phone was on the wall and call my brother and ask, why is there 6 members of Rolling Stones on the cover? Because I didn't know that Brian Jones had been replaced by some guy called Mick Taylor at some stage before I was born. So I remember I thought that was strange. Another one, one of my absolute favorite greatest hits of all time. And I suppose this is out of print. I have the CD as well, but this was my first copy. Paul McCartney, All the Best. Love this one. Shown it a couple of times. And yeah, I think when I got this, which was in 1987, I had never heard Another Day. Because Another Day, of course, was a non-album single, and I had McCartney and I had Ram and loads of McCartney stuff at this stage, but none of them had Another Day on them. So I remember that was a treat hearing that one for the first time. It's a compilation, Greatest Hits, even says Greatest Hits Volume 1 on the cover, is The Singular Adventures of the Style Council. If you want to listen to Morten tell you to do something, there's nothing there. Get something by the Style Council, and you're dragging your feet. If you do come across a nice copy of this one, I urge you to get it. This really ties up so much good stuff from the Style Council in a neat package. And, just look how good it looks as well. So, highly recommended. Glad I can show something by Split Enz. This is an odd one. This is beginning of the end. So this is sort of ties up early stuff before Neil Finn started putting his mark on the band. Now, when I bought this, the cover that was shown on Discogs did not have this, or the framing around it. Because this is a music club, Famous Stars Nouvelle Gravure, Volume 18. I think mine was the one that I thought I was buying was a UK version of this. This is a French chrysalis with this stuff on it, and I nearly complained to Discogs about wrong information, but I didn't, because I'm a nice guy, you know, way down. Smashing Pumpkins, greatest hits, it actually says that, and beautiful compilation, beautiful greatest hits. Nothing really to show in there, but we have some artwork. Oh, yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Smashing Pumpkins lately because I got Machina finally on vinyl. Speaking of vinyl, let's just have a quick look. Nice label there with the information on the other side. And finally, I just wanted to show you this one as well. It's called Viva Santana. It's a triple album of all the good stuff from those first years. And was released around the same time as many of those other 80s stuff. I think it's 87, 88 this was released. And again, this was because I got some little bit of Santana on that History of Rock and Roll series that I got, and I wanted more, and this came out around the same time, and then I grabbed it. So that was me showing you some greatest hits albums, and some of them maybe aren't greatest hits albums. There's something else. I'm sorry about that. And it's because I was inspired by Brian. So anyway, guys, I hope you're having a great weekend. It's creeping up on the middle of September now, so the leaves out there are turning into that color. That indicates we're getting into winter, and which is something that makes Morten apprehensive. And anyway, thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon in another video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.